Hi students, welcome to Jupiter Academy, the best NEET coaching center in Chennai. I am Dr. Vallinachia, professor in the Department of Biotechnology from Satyabama University. I have qualified my CSIR UGC NET and also GATE. You can contact Jupiter Academy through the links which are given here, either through Telegram app or through YouTube. You please subscribe to our YouTube channels to view the online videos which we are going to upload in due course. Today, the topic which I am going to handle is genetics, and this carries a major percentage of your NEET exam. To introduce the subject, this is a branch of biology that tries to explain the mechanism and the basis for similarities and differences between related individuals. There are two aspects for that. The first one being the hereditary. This is also called as inheritance. The next one being the variation. Hereditary can be defined as a process of transmission of character in living being from parent to offspring. That is, from our father and mother, we are inheriting many characters, and that is called as hereditary. And variation means it is the differences between the individuals. If the case of hereditary is going to be the inheritance from parent to the offspring, all the siblings should be identical. But that is not happening because we are just resembling our brothers and sisters. We are not the same. We have our unique characteristics and features, and that is termed as variation. The variation can be a hereditary one, or it may be due to environmental conditions. If it is hereditary, it is because of the genetic makeup of the individual. And if it is going to be environmental variation, that may be introduced due to differences in the food, temperature, and other external factors. Before going into the topic, we will just see a few terminologies in genetics. The first being the character. A character is a heritable feature that varies among individuals. For example, eye color, hair color, skin tone, all these are characters. And if you see trait, a trait is a variant for the character. Okay, there will be so many variants for each character, and that is called as a trait. Take an example of eye color. The eye color can be black, blue, or brown. The character is eye color here, but the variants are black eye color, brown eye color, and blue eye color. So these are called as traits. Each variant of a particular character is called as a trait. The next important terminology is true breeding. The plants which are homozygous for a particular characteristic are said to be a true breeding one. That means it is undergoing self-pollination for many generations. When self-pollinated, they will give rise only to the same character. No other variation is possible. For example, if you are self-pollinating tall plants, they will always give tall plants irrespective of the number of generations which you are self-pollinating. The next terminology which you are going to study is hybridization. And this is a mating or crossing over of two true breeding varieties. For example, if you are crossing, that means if you are cross-pollinating a tall plant with a short plant. See here, the trait is stem length tall and stem length short. You are crossing this tall plant with a short plant, and this process is called as hybridization. Two varying characters are involved here. When you are crossing this is called as hybridization. So in this process, you are taking two plants which differ in their traits, and they are going to be the pre-generation or parental generation. They are said to be the parent for your cross-pollination. Okay. Now coming to the next one. When the hybridization takes place, the offsprings which you are getting from that hybridization experiments were denoted as F1, and this 1 denotes the first generation and F stands for filial. So F1 stands for first filial generation. And usually in Mendelian genetics, usually the F1 plants were self-pollinated, and the offspring which are obtained from selfing are F2 generation. That means they are second filial generation. Okay. Now we are going to see what is an allele. Allele is an alternate version of a gene. That means we have seen trait, right? For each trait, one allele will be there. We know what is a gene. A gene is a stretch of nucleotides or a fragment of DNA which codes for a single polypeptide chain. So a gene will be present in a variant forms, that is alternate forms like trait. Each trait will be coded by one allele. Okay, different forms of the same gene is called as an allele. So blue eye color, one allele. Black eye color, one allele. Brown eye color, one allele. Like this, each trait will be coded by one allele. The next one is homozygote. If a character is determined by a pair of identical alleles. For example, in case of blue alleles, both the alleles of the gene will be coding for the same blue color eye. But you will be getting one allele from your father and another allele from your mother. Your father is also giving an allele for blue eye color and your mother is also giving an allele for another blue eye color. Then both the alleles are going to be the same in this gene, determining the blue eye color. So in this case, it is said to be a homozygote. Suppose if your father is giving a black allele for black eye color and your mother is giving an allele for blue eye color, the offspring is going to have black eye color because black is dominant over blue eye color. Here you can see there are two different alleles. One is coding for black eye color, another is coding for blue eye color. In this case, it is called as an heterozygote. Okay. In this case, the black is dominating over the blue. Blue cannot express in a single copy, whereas the brown or black eye color can express in a single copy. That means this black eye color is dominating this blue color. So it is called as a dominant allele. The one which is not expressed in the presence of another allele is called as a recessive allele. Okay. In the heterozygotic condition, the recessive allele will not express itself. Only in a homozygous condition it can express. So in other terms, we can define dominance as the character which is expressed in a heterozygotic condition. Okay. Now in this same eye color characteristic, we will take what is homozygous dominant. That means the dominant character, father is also contributing for black eye color, mother is also contributing for black eye color, black being the dominant one. So the individual is going to be homozygous dominant. Whereas if the father is also giving blue eye color allele and mother is also giving blue eye color allele, then that person becomes homozygous recessive. The next terminology is a genotype, and this is the original genetic makeup of the individual, and phenotype is the appearance of an organism. And that will be seen in detail in the coming slides. Now we will go into the history of genetics, and father of genetics is Gregor Johann Mendel, and his time period is 1822 to 1884, and he was born in July 22nd, 1822 in Czechoslovakia, and he studied agriculture, pomiculture and viniculture. Due to poverty, he stopped his study and entered into Augustinian monastery, where he was taught where he continued his study there. In 1851, he was sent to University of Vienna to study physics, mathematics and natural science. Then he was appointed as a secondary school teacher for teaching physics and natural sciences. In the monastery garden, he started his experiment with the pea plant, and he has done that for 9 years, from 56 to 64. And he has published his work in the Annual Proceedings of Natural History Society of Bern in 1865. And this journal was not so famous at that time. It was a very normal journal, so his work was not given any attention at that time. he was not aware of many factors like nucleus, chromosome, genes, or DNA, but he has made accurate prediction only on mathematical relationship, nothing related to biology. Okay, and his work was not at all recognized during his period. Later, after his demise, so many years after his demise, three different scientists from three different independently in three different corners of Europe, like Hugo de Vries from Holland, Karl Korans from Germany, and Erich von Sesmark from Austria, have rediscovered. They have done the work again, and they have analyzed his work, and they have proposed these theories. Okay, what made Mendel's work not accepted is he publishes in his work in a very normal journal, and the biologists at that time were not aware of the scientific method. That is, statistical methods were not used for biological application at that time. The scientists who were there in the university, like Nageli and Kerner, have discouraged Mendel to a great extent. And the biologists at that time were preoccupied with the origin of species. And when Mendel repeated this work with other plants, it didn't work out. Only with pea plant he got these results, so it didn't work out for other plants. While Mendel concentrated and insisted on constancy of character of species generation after generation, theory of evolution concentrated more on variation. So two contradictory theories. So nobody supported Mendel, and Mendel was concentrating on contrasting pairs of characters exhibiting discontinuous variation, whereas the biologists at that time were preoccupied with characters which are exhibiting continuous variation. They were involved only with that continuous variation, but Mendel was concentrating on contrasting characters showing discontinuous variation. Okay, and the process of fertilization, behavior of chromosome at the time of cell division, nothing was known at that time when Mendel has started his work. And coming to the reason for Mendel's success, the first and foremost being the method of working, and he has analyzed the problem which he has taken into account and planned the work properly, and he has not concentrated so many characters at a time like how other biologists have done that. He studied only one character at a time, and he has proceeded only up to F3 generation. He has not extended his work beyond F3 generation, and he was maintaining a proper statistical record of whatever experiments he was doing, and he has analyzed them carefully. And he was working with the genetically pure plants. That means we were seeing what is true breeding plants, right? So they are also called as pure breeding plants. So he was working with only the pure plants, and the purity he was checking with self-pollinating them for many generations, and then he was confirming that they are genetically pure, and then only he started his work. And when the crossing was carried out, he selected the plants which show contrasting character. They should definitely show a contrasting character. That plants only were selected for his further work. And he has grown the plants in separate plots in the monastic garden, so that there is no cross-pollination which is taking place in the selected plants. And the next criteria is the selection of material, and he has selected pea plant. The name for that is Pisum sativum, and the reason for selecting this is it is an annual plant and it has a short lifespan, so you can study many generations within a short period of time. And the plants are bisexual. Plants produce perfect bisexual flowers. That means they are predominantly self-pollinating. And when they take up self-pollination for many generations, they are going to be homozygous. So you can get pure lines for many generations. You can have a pure lines of homozygous plants for many generations. And also it is easy to carry out cross-pollination, and there is a method by which you can control the pollination taking place. And what are all the traits that were selected by Mendel is listed out here in this table. The flower color, flower position, seed color, seed shape, pod color, and stem length. of this, the P denotes the parent, and this is the parent. This purple color, whatever character is expressed in F1 is going to be the dominant character. So this is going to be the dominant one, whatever character. So this purple flower is a dominant one because that is expressed in F1, whereas white is a recessive one. Since it is not expressed in F1, we will tell this as a recessive one. This is a recessive one. Similarly, axial flower is a dominant one, whereas terminal flowering is a recessive one. Yellow seed color is dominant. Round shape is dominant. Inflated pod is dominant. The green color of the pod is dominant. And then stem length is tall. That is the dominant one. Okay. These are the 7 characters which were selected by Mendel for his experiments. And how he has carried out the crossing technique is to prevent the self-pollination, that is self-fertilization or self-pollinations. The anthers were removed from the plants, which is going to serve as a seed parent, that is a female parent. So much before the stigma becomes fully mature, the anthers were removed. That process is called as emasculation. So stamens are removed, so no pollen from this, so no self-fertilization is possible here. Now the pollen from the pollen parent, that is the male parent, is taken in a brush and then that was dusted onto the feathery stigma of the seed parent, that is emasculated or destaminized plants. Now after this process over, they were enclosed in a separate bag so that the stigma is not contaminated with further deposition of pollen from other sources. So it should not be to avoid further deposition. And the seeds were collected in a marked bottle, separate marked bottles. If the character which is studied is seed characteristic, it is done immediately. And if it is for other characteristics like tallness or pot color, something like that, the seeds were again grown. Now coming to his experiments, before going into his experiments, we will see what is a phenotype. It is an absorbable characteristic of some organism like color, size, form and structure, like tall and short. This is our characteristic trait which we are going to see repeatedly. So we will take tallness and shortness. And genotype is the genetic content or genetic composition of an organism, and you cannot see this. Phenotype can be seen, genotype cannot be seen. Okay. See here, there are 3 genotypes given. This is homozygous. See, the dominant character will be denoted for that particular character. Since tallness is a dominant character, capital T denotes tall. This is the homozygous dominant characteristic. Whereas this is also tall. See, the phenotype is 1, but the genotype is 2 types of genotypes are possible. Homozygous dominant and this is heterozygous. Whereas shortness is denoted by small t. Because it's a recessive one. It can express only if 2 alleles are present for the same characteristic. Now, before starting his experiment, he has hypothesized few things. Like he said that there are alternate forms of gene which we now call as alleles. That time he was calling that as factors. So for each trait, for each character, organisms will have 2 genes. That is one inherited from mother and another one inherited from father. In his experiment, the pollen and each one carry 1 allele for each trait because they will segregate. Only one they will carry. Only after fertilization, the 2 number will be restored. When only 1 allele is expressed and the other doesn't have any noticeable effect, that is said to be the dominant characteristics. Now we will see this is a flower of Pisum sativum. You can see the standard Fabaceae flower here. You can see the stamens. You can see the stigma here, ovaries here with the carpels, and these are the petals. Now the procedure, as I told you earlier, this was emasculated by removing the stamens. Now this is the seed parent. That means it's going to be the female parent, and Pollen from this plant was taken in the brush and that was dusted onto the stigma of this plant, and then it is allowed to mature. You got the pod and these seeds were grown. Five seeds are given here and there are 5 plants. And then the character which is taken into account was studied. What is the color of the flower here? Okay, this is how he carried out the work. And based on his experiments, he has proposed 2 laws, law of segregation and law of independent assortment, and this has been done from different experiments which we are going to see in detail now. He started he was so shrewd in such a way that he has selected only one character for his study at a time, but he has repeated the experiment for all the 7 characters subsequently individually also. So here the classical example of stem length, that is tall and short. So pure breeding tall plants, that is homozygous tall plants were taken, and homozygous, anyway recessive, right? Recessive has to be homozygous only. They were crossed, they are going to be the parent. During gametogenesis, that is the process of meiosis. During meiosis, this allele will go to one gamete, this allele will go to another gamete. Similarly, this allele will go to one gamete, the other one will go to another gamete. Since both the alleles are same, we are denoting only one allele here. Same, right? So in the F2 generation, this T also will be there and this T also will be there. And this will undergo self-pollination. That is a condition, right? Previously we have seen this will undergo self-pollination or selfing. So the female pair, the same. The egg is also produced by the same plants, pollen also same. So during gametogenesis, this T will go one gamete, this T will go to another gamete. Similarly, in pollen also, this T will go to one gamete and this T will come to this gamete. So this process of drawing in a checkerboard like this is called as Punnett square or Punnett checkerboard. Here you have to write the same thing down. This T here, this T here. So it is going to be homozygous dominant and the plant is tall. And here also these two also are tall plants, but they are heterozygous because they have 2 different alleles. The alleles are different here. Whereas this is going to be a recessive one. As we know, it is homozygous, right? As we know, it is homozygous. So if you see, there are 3 tall plants and 1 short plant. So the phenotypic ratio is 3:1. But if you see the genotype of the plant, only one plant is going to be homozygous dominant and these 2 are going to be heterozygous. That means both the alleles are there. And this is going to be the recessive one, that is homozygous recessive. So this is going to be the genotypic ratio. So phenotypic ratio is 3:1 and genotypic ratio is 1:2:1. See, this is only a ratio. It doesn't mean that he was working with only one plant and raising only 4 plants from that. It is not like that. See the number of plants which it was such a laborious work which he has carried out. See, to identify this character, this phenotypic ratio for this character, he has worked with nearly 7,500 plants. For this again, he has worked with 8,000 plants, and for this he has worked with nearly 1,000 plants. See the volume of work which he has put into this. But in almost all the cases, the ratio was found out to be nearly 3:1. You can see from this. So the ratio was always found to be 3:1. To confirm the genetic makeup of an individual and to confirm the law of segregation, the plant, the F1 is cross-checked with the recessive parent. This is the recessive parent. This is a heterozygous one. So this allele will come to this and this allele will come to this. So of this, half of the gametes will have this capital A and half of the gamete will have the recessive A, whereas this parent will produce only the recessive allele since it is a recessive parent. So when crossed, this has produced a ratio of 1:1. If the plant, if the F1 is automatically is going to be heterozygous only for us. So this clearly confirms that the alleles were segregating during gamete formation, and each one is going to one gamete, two different gametes. Okay, and this is the law of segregation. Suppose if this parent is going to be homozygous dominant, then in this case all the plants are going to be heterozygous. All will be heterozygous. So 100% heterozygous if the parent one, if this test parent is going to be homozygous dominant. Since it is heterozygous, you are getting 1:1 ratio. This process is called as test cross because you can test whether this parent is homozygous dominant or heterozygous dominant. Based on this, the law of segregation has been proposed, in which during gamete formation, the allele pairs will separate like this and will enter into different gamete. This process is also called as monohybrid cross because a single character is taken into account. So the law of segregation was proposed based on the monohybrid cross that is taken out. Okay. Now after completing the monohybrid cross for all the characters which he has selected, he has started to combine the characters. Two different characters were taken into account. In this is also another classical example. Here you can see the parent with the double dominant character, and this parent is double recessive one. Okay. Round shape of the seed and yellow color of the seed, green shape of the seed, and wrinkled character of the size of the shape of the seed. Okay. Now in the F1, see how many gametes, this R and this R, this Y and this Y, all the gametes are going to be identical. So we are representing it as a single copy here, and this will undergo during gametogenesis will produce this Y and this Y will come here, and this R and this small y will come here. This small R and capital Y will be the next gamete, and small r, small y will be the next one. Okay. Similarly, in the female also, the gamete formation, the alleles will be segregating like this, and the offspring were found out to be from the F2 generation. The phenotypic ratio was found out to be 9 of the 16. There are 16, right? So of the 16 plants, 9 were found to be dominant one for both the characters. 3 were found to be dominant for the first character, and another 3 was found to be dominant for the second one, and the 1% was found to be recessive for both the characters. So the ratio becomes 9:3:3:1. And if you see the genotypic ratio, you can also calculate the genotypic ratio. It's simply given like this. There is another way of finding out a genotypic ratio. Just take this box and you take this box, and all the 4 are going to be the same, and these 2 are going to be the same, and these 2 are going to be the same, this and this. This and this. So if you see, you can write this way: 1:2, that is, this is separate in this box. First consider this box, then these 3 lines, and then this box. So the first one is going to be double dominant for both the character. The second one, it is going to be homozygous for dominant for the first character, that is 2. These 2 are same, and this is separate. It is homozygous for the first character and homozygous recessive for the second character. Now, if you take this one, these 2 are the same. It is heterozygous for the first character and homozygous dominant for the second character. So 2 here, and all the 4 are going to be heterozygous for all the characters. That is both the characters. And this is going to be heterozygous for the first character and homozygous for the second character. So this is going to be 2. Now consider this box. This is 1 and that is homozygous for the first one and homozygous dominant for the second one, and these two are going to be the same. So this is 2 and this one is 1 again. So like this you can write. And based on this, he has proposed. Suppose if the genes were linked, if okay, that point I will come later. Based on this experiment, he has proposed the law of independent assortment, which suggested that each allele pair, that is this is one allele pair and this is another allele pair, each allele pair segregate independently. The segregation of this will not affect the segregation of this one, and they will independently assort themselves, and then they can go to any gametes during gamete formation. It can go to either this or this or this or this, and this law is called as law of independent assortment, and this is demonstrated based on the dihybrid cross which is carried out. This is what Mendel has done. Suppose if this is the case, that means if this R and Y are linked together and they are not independent, if they are dependent, then they cannot go to different gametes. They will be coming to this Y and this R will go to one, and this Y, this R has to go to another gamete, right? In this case, definitely the ratio is not going to be 9:3:3:1. Rather, it is again going to be 3:1 only. But this has not happened. What he has got is only this ratio, 9:3:3:1. So he has proposed the law of independent assortment, which states that each allele pair segregates independently of other gene pairs during gamete formation. I hope I am very clear with this Mendelian genetics. Now we will see what are all the variation for this Mendelian genetics. See, this has formed the base for genetics because we didn't know anything at that time, but he has laid the foundation for genetics, and he has been successful in whatever he has selected, but that he didn't know at that time. Now there are number of genes which will not just show dominant recessive relationship. Rather, there will be so many different types of relationship between the genes, which we are going to see now. Very few only we are going to see in this class. If possible, we will be seeing the different types of interaction in later classes. Now we will see the variation to Mendelian genetics. Okay, all the traits are not going to follow the laws that are proposed by Mendel. And you can see the variations in animals as well as in plants. And few of the variation we are going to see now. The first one being incomplete dominance, the next one being codominance, the other one is multiple alleles, polygenic inheritance, sex-linked traits and sex-influenced traits, lethal genes. I will just touch upon that because it's going to be vast again. We will just see what is that, okay. Coming to the first one is incomplete dominance. It is a condition in which, that is, in this heterozygous condition, the dominant allele will not have the ability to overpower the recessive allele. That means both the genes will not be in a position, both the alleles of a particular gene cannot express their character in the F1 generation. Rather, there is going to be blending of these traits. Okay, there will be blending. Here you cannot say a particular allele is dominant over the other allele. Both the alleles will be expressing themselves, but they will be giving an intermediate phenotype in a heterozygous condition. The example given, we will take the flower color. Here it is red in color and this flower is white. When these two flowers, here we are not writing capital R. You see, capital R means red becomes dominant, right? Then we have to write R here for white. But in this case, red is not dominating and white is not receding. So we are not going to denote like this. Rather, it is the color of the flower. So see, and this is red flower. And this is a pure breeding red flower. When self, it will give rise to only red flowers. and this when self will give rise to white flower. So we are doing hybridization experiment here. In this case, one allele for red will be here and one allele for Y will be here, and this is your F1. You can clearly see that the flowers are not red in color, they are not red and they are not white also. Rather, there is an intermediate, that is blending of color. See, when you are painting, when you mix red and white color, it will be pink in color, right? The base general logic. So the flowers are also pink. Nature also is painting. You see, the white color, this pink color clearly tells you that it is an heterozygous. So the genotype also is visible in this. When you draw the checkerboard for the F2 generation, so you have two alleles for this. You are carrying out self-pollination. In this case, again, we have the classical 2:1:1 phenotypic ratio. Sorry, this is a phenotypic. This is a genotypic ratio, right? The phenotypic ratio 3:1 is totally transformed into 1:2:1, which is almost the same like the genotypic ratio. Here, 1 is red, 2 is, one plant is red, these two plants are heterozygous, and this one is homozygous. So, two homozygous plants and two heterozygous plants, but from the phenotype itself, you can say that this is 1:2:1. Both phenotypic and genotypic ratios are same. It is a blending of trait. Understand this? Blending means incomplete dominance. Now we are going to see a similar type of interaction where blending is not there. Okay, that is called as codominance. Co means together. Together it is going to express. So in a heterozygous condition, one allele cannot dominate the other one. One cannot. There is again no dominant recessive relationship. Rather, both the traits can be seen at the same time. In the previous one, you are seeing only the mingling or blending of the characters, colors or character. Whereas here, you can see both the characters in the offspring, but in region-specific manner. In one region, one allele will be expressing. See here, white allele is expressed. Here, the brown allele is expressed. This is a classical example for this. Here, a red cow is crossed with white bull. It can be a vice versa also. But here you cannot tell red as a dominant one, white as a recessive, nothing like that. Again, it is a pure breeding red and it is a pure breeding white. But the F1, the cross, the offspring which you got is a roven. A roven, it's a cow which has both the alleles for red coat as well as white coat color in patches. It is not mingling, rather it is patches. Here also you can see, right, white flower crossed with the pink flower. You can see patches of white and red. So this is an example for codominance. Both the characters without blending has expressed themselves in a region specific manner. Then it becomes codominant. So I hope you understood what is incomplete dominance and codominance. You can write the checkerboard like this. This is going to be the same checkerboard where the genotypic and phenotypic ratios are going to be 1:2:1. Now we are going to see the next variation, which is multiple allelism along with codominance, which we have seen earlier. And this is going to be very important, and definitely you can expect one question in the exam. And this is the blood grouping in humans. We have 4 blood groups: A, B, AB and O. And the number of alleles which determine is not 2 here. There are 3 alleles which will determine the blood group. Even though there are 3 alleles, a human being can have only 2 alleles. Okay. Of the 3, we are going to have only 2 alleles for that. Okay. In this, if this is IA, the bearer is going to be blood A. Okay, A blood group. If it is B, this is type B blood, and if it is I, small I, it is going to be O blood group. Okay. In this case, these 2 genes are dominant over this one. IB are dominant for this character. This is said to be a recessive one. These 2 are dominant for this one. Okay. dominant for I. But when these two are together, they are codominant. So two relationship you can see. You can see dominant dominant recessive relationship as well as codominance here. That means IA and IB are dominant over I, small I, whereas IA and IB are codominant. Okay, so it can be homozygous A. Blood group is going to be A. See, the blood grouping is based on a protein which is present on the RBC, and this protein is almost the same in all the RBCs, all the blood group RBCs, but there is only the carbohydrate moiety which is different in these groups. So we are going to see the genetics now. We will leave the immunology and we will see that later. See if it is homozygous A or heterozygous. You can see one recessive allele also, right? Heterozygous in homozygous as well as in heterozygous condition, the blood group is going to be A. And similarly, similar to the previous case, in homozygous and heterozygous case, this is going to be B blood group. Suppose if they are heterozygous for A and B, both A and B will be expressed on the RBC. You can see both the proteins expressed on the surface, right? So this is an example for codominance. Codominance. Whereas these two are dominant recessive relationship, and when no other allele is present, when in a homozygous condition, this will give rise to O blood group. This is called as O because no protein, no specific protein which you see on A and B is present on this. Okay, that is only the carbohydrate which is missing. But for your understanding, there is no group forming protein on this. That is why it is nothing is there. Okay, it is plain. So it is called as O blood group. The next variation which we are going to see is polygenic inheritance. You know what is poly? Poly means many and genic means genes. Till now, we were seeing two alleles, a single gene affecting the character. Even in previous case, it is a single gene, but alleles only are many. Here we are going to see many genes affecting a single trait. Okay. Example for that is going to be hair color and skin tone. And hair color is determined by 3 sets of genes denoted by ABC. And when all the genes are present in a dominant form, including the alleles, homozygous dominant condition will produce black hair color, dark black hair color, whereas all the genes in a homozygous recessive condition will produce a blondest of the hair color. And depending upon the number of dominant alleles for each gene, the shades of that is going to be different. And similarly, in case of skin color, that is skin tone, there are 4 genes which are playing an important role in this. And if all of them are going to be, all the 4 genes are present in a homozygous dominant condition, it is going to be the darkest skin. Similarly, in recessive, it is going to be the palest skin. And different shades are available depending upon the number of dominant genes present and number of recessive genes present. And coming to the next important topic, because this is also very important, you can expect definitely from this topic. Next one is a sex-linked traits, and these are the characters which are present on the X chromosome. Okay, X, mainly X. Sex-linked means X-linked only. In this case, females are having 2 X chromosomes. In humans, females will be having 2 X chromosomes, whereas males will have only 1 X chromosome, the other one being the Y chromosome. So, whatever character which is present on X chromosome will be expressed in males, and particularly if that is the gene which is responsible for a defect of which is responsible for a particular disease, that will lead to a diseased condition in males easily because they are having only 1 copy of X chromosome. But if that disease is because of a gene present on X chromosome, that will be expressing less in case of females because they have to inherit two defective X chromosome from their parents. But the male will be inheriting only X chromosome and specifically from the mother. And if the mother is going to be infected for that particular disease, definitely he is going to have that particular disease. So X-linked diseases are more common in case of males, whereas females are little bit resistant for this disease, because X-linked recessive diseases require 2 copies in case of females. Only one is sufficient to bring about the disease in case of males. Example for the disease, X-linked diseases is red-green blindness, hemophilia, muscular dystrophy. All these are the disease example for sex-linked traits. And now we will see in detail about this hemophilia. And this is called as a bleeding disease because the person will be having a defective gene which controls the clotting, blood clotting. This is an X-linked recessive gene. I hope many of you have seen a movie called E.T. in which that hero will be suffering from this disease. And the royal family, that is Queen Victoria family, you can see so many person in their family having this disease. This is also called as royal disease. Okay. Now we are going to see how the disease, see the inheritance pattern of this disease. Suppose if the father is hemophilic and mother is normal, okay. Father hemophilic means he is definitely having the disease. So this is father's phenotype, father's gametes and Y, okay, here. And mother is a normal one. In this case, all the boys are going to be normal. The boys born between hemophilic father and normal mother are going to be normal because the mother will be giving the normal X chromosome to her sons. The daughters are also going to be normal only, but they are going to be carriers because they inherit the defective, that is hemophilic gene from their father. So they are going to be carrier for the disease, and there is a chance of them passing on this X-linked hemophilic disease to their offsprings. But she is going to be normal because the mother will be giving the normal X chromosome to her. So all are going to be normal in this case, provided the daughters are going to be carriers. Sons will be normal. Suppose if the father is a normal person and mother is a carrier woman, in this case, this daughter is going to be totally normal because she is not the carrier. But this daughter is going to be a carrier, and this son is going to be totally normal, and this son is going to be hemophilic. So if you see the ratio, it is one carrier, one normal male, one normal daughter, one normal son, one carrier daughter, and one hemophilic son. You have to write like that. You can find out the ratio. So 1:1:1:1 ratio. Here all are normal. Here it is one normal male, one normal female, one carrier female, and one hemophilic son. Suppose if the mother is hemophilic and father is normal, in that case, the mother will be giving her X chromosome to daughter, but father is giving a normal X chromosome to the daughter. So both the daughters are going to be carriers, whereas the mother will pass on her defective hemophilic gene to her sons. So all sons are going to be hemophilic. All sons hemophilic. All sons are hemophilic, whereas all daughters are carriers. I hope you understood this. If you are very clear with this concept, you will be in a position to answer all the queries. The next one related to that topic. The next one is a sex-influenced trait. This can be present on any of the autosomes, but the sex of the individual will influence that character. Okay, and one of the example which is given here is pattern baldness, which is denoted as B here. We will denote baldness, no, so we will write B. So this is one parent, capital B small b, and this is another parent, capital B small b. In this case, in a heterozygous dominant condition, the both male and female will be bald. Whereas in a heterozygous condition, only the male will be bald, whereas the females will be normal. In this case, both of them are going to be normal. In a single statement, if I tell this condition, you can tell that this gene will act as a dominant character in case of male and as a recessive character in case of females. Because in heterozygous condition, it is expressed only in males, not in females. So, in a single statement, this acts as a dominant trait in case of male, whereas it acts as a recessive trait in case of females. Okay, these are the variations which we have seen now. Now we'll go to the problem solving session, in which we'll see few problems. If time permits, we will complete it, or otherwise I will just go through only the important problems. Okay, the fruit color for plant X is determined by two alleles. When two plants with orange fruits are crossed, the following phenotypic ratios are present in the offspring. That is 25% red fruit, 50 orange and 25 yellow fruit. So you have to find out what is the genotype of the parent. That is the orange fruit plant. Okay, excuse me. See, from the phenotype itself, you have seen the ratio is 25 means, see, 25, 50, 25. So if you see, this is 1:2:1. So we know either it is incomplete dominance or codominance, right? In this case, it is a red flower and red fruit and yellow fruit. Combination of red and yellow will give you, there is a mixing of character, that is why it is orange in color. So it is an example for incomplete dominance. It is an example for incomplete dominance because there is mixing of characters. So definitely, see, this is an heterozygous condition. It is present in a heterozygous condition. So definitely the orange fruit is an example. The genotype is heterozygous. So RY. This is given here. You can see this. This is what I have explained. So we know it is since it is an incomplete dominance. This I have explained to you. Now we'll see the next one. Next problem. Now predict the phenotypic ratio of offspring when homozygous white cow is crossed with rowan blue. You know what is white, right? White is a recessive one. Okay. Rowan is RW. RW is rowan. Rowan is heterozygous, we have seen already. So what will be the phenotypic ratio in the offspring? When this and this are together, that is again going to be rowan. When this and this are together, it is going to be 1. So it is present in 1:1 ratio. 50% of rowan and 50% of white cow, which is explained here. You can see here. Okay, with the help of a checkerboard, it is explained here. So it is white here, white cow. This is a rowan cow. So you are getting 2 rowans and 2 white, which is 50-50 here again. Suppose, okay, you can calculate for different combinations. Okay, what should be the genotype and phenotype for parent cattle to be if a farmer wanted only cattle with red? We know red is expressed only in the homozygous condition. So the genotype and phenotype, if it is going to be heterozygous, then you will not have red color, right? Red means homozygous. Only in homozygous condition this will be red. So the genotype and phenotype of the cattle should be R only. No other option is acceptable. So this is the required option. So it should be 100% RR. Okay, because if you cross red with the rowan, 50% rowan and 50% red you will be getting. If rowan is crossed with, you can carry out the checkerboard for all these combination, and you can find out the ratio also. See, 25% is going to be red, 50 Rowan, and 25 white. And if it is white and Rowan again, the same thing, whatever you have seen, it's same like this, right? But here only this white in case it is red, okay? 50 white and 50 Rowan. And if it is white and 100% Rowan, if it is white and red. So you can calculate, for practice, you can calculate this, you can do a checkerboard for each and every, there are 5 conditions, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 conditions are there. You can calculate, go for the checkerboard, and then you can find out, you can check these results. And the next one is a woman with type O blood and a man who is type AB or expecting a child. What are the possible blood types of the kid is a question. So you know very well that this person is having a genotype. She is homozygous recessive, right? She is homozygous recessive, and this person is having gene for both A and B. So what are all the possible blood group means? This can be either, we can see with the checkerboard, okay? So this is father, this is mother, this is mother, this is father, okay? So in this case, this child is going to have A blood group, and this child is going to have A blood group. This child will have B, and this child will have B, but all of them are heterozygous, okay? All of them are heterozygous condition, but 50% of the children or kid are going to have A blood group, and 50% of them are going to be B blood group. And if you see the next question, what are the possible blood types of a child whose parents are both heterozygous for B blood group? So if you write the genotype, they are heterozygous, right? IB and I. This is one parent. Another parent also heterozygous for B only. So IB and I. Draw the checkerboard and find out, okay? And again, 2 blood groups are possible. See, you can have this is mother and father, we will take that way. This person is going to be homozygous for blood group B. These 2 person are going to be heterozygous for blood group B, and he is going to be homozygous recessive, so O blood group. So of this 4, 1, so 25% of the children will have O blood group, whereas 75% of them will have B blood group. Okay, 75% you can write. Okay. After that, if genotype is asked, 25% are going to be homozygous dominant, and 50% that is heterozygous, and 25% homozygous recessive. And next question which we are going to see is, what are the chances of a woman with type AB and a man with type A having a child with the type O? So you know AB means I, A, and I, B crossed with having A, okay? And in this case, he is A blood group, and this group can be either A or AI. In this case, when crossing happens, the possible blood groups are A, B, and AB, and AB, not O, because this parent is not having an allele for small I, so O not possible. So we'll see with the checkerboard. See, this checkerboard is, you cannot have. See, this is the chances of this table is not. It's not correct here. So we will just go to this slide and see this. So from this A and this A, the next thing also same. That person will become IA. And if this is the case, IA and IB. Similarly, This IA, let me write it again for your understanding. Let me draw it like this. This is AA, AB. Okay. Now we are crossing with IA. This person can be homozygous for this, and he can be heterozygous for this. In both the cases, what are the outcomes? If he is going to be homozygous A, then there is no possibility of O, no O, okay? O cannot happen because this and this, this and this, this and this, this and this, all the character will give only AB blood group, okay? No other options. AB or homozygous A. Homozygous A. And in this case, if this is the case, homozygous A, okay, I will just write the group alone, A, and this again A only, but this is heterozygous, this is homozygous, this is heterozygous, and this is AB, and this is going to be B. So there is no possibility of O here also. No O. No possibility of O here also. I think I have made clear about the Mendelian genetics and also variation in Mendelian genetics. We will see the problems in later classes. I hope you have understood this. I would be happy if you can understand and then get good marks in your NEET exam. These questions I have prepared for you, and I will be showing this in the future classes. I will be definitely meeting you in future classes. That time I will be explaining all these chapter-wise problems and answers. And I ask you to subscribe. I will be happy if you could subscribe to our channel. Subscribe to our YouTube, in which I will be posting problems related to genetics and many interesting topics in genetics. Okay. Thank you. All the best for you, all of you.